I was hoping for. This is just the beginning. If anyone thinks that this is the first that's going to be happening on this show, there's going to be more cameos, and I cannot wait. This was just a little taste. There's going to be more, okay? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Geek Branch podcast. We are back at it. We are excited because we're going to be talking about Wandavision. I know we talked about Wandavision a few weeks ago, but we couldn't help. There's been a lot of exciting stuff happening, especially in this last episode. I know some people think that this is a little bit too much of a slow burn. Well, they went full throttle with these last two episodes. Now y'all know what WandaVision is all about and what it's going to lead up to, and I cannot wait to dive into this with my guys, the one, the only, Walk-In. What the French toast are you doing?
Nothing.
As you can see, he has a very cool new avatar now next to him. Yeah, very cool. Very excited. Our artist is the best. And then also, I know I'm getting distracted, but we got, of course, Novell. And his avatar is
you
Stuff
creepy.
of Nightmares.
You creepy boy.
I mean, look, it matches my soul. You know?
Got nightmare fuel.
Dark and disturbing.
He's so creepy.
I don't even want to think about that. I don't even want to know what that means.
I'm a horror aficionado, guys. One of these days, I'm going to convince them to binge horror movies, and we're going to actually have a Geek Branch horror episode, but it's going to take a while because they hate it.
I don't know about that. Anyway, so let's talk about...
I'm going to make it happen.
Moving on
to WandaVision. All right.
This is a type of horror, too. WandaVision is slight horror.
It's like Twilight Zone.
Let's kind of go
X-Files.
back to like the first one that we did with the podcast of WandaVision, making the callbacks that we just had. So
yeah,
the helicopter.
We were right about that.
Yeah,
we were correct about that. The whole synopsis of her taking over the town.
Yeah, we're pretty
sort
on
of,
point.
kind
Sort
of
of.
correct.
I actually feel like she's being controlled,
or that she is not in control of whatever this phenomenon is.
Well, clearly she thought she was in control at first, and it's gone well past what she could handle.
Yeah, straight sideways. I think that at the advent of the twins, it is out of her ballpark.
By the way, obviously there's going to be spoilers, so
Yes.
If you don't want to be spoiled, if you haven't been caught up on the show, you might want to come back, watch the episodes, get caught up to, I believe it's episode 5, and
get out of here.
yeah. And when you come back, just dive on in and enjoy this.
Dive on in.
Yeah.
Just dive on in.
Get in there with us.
But
just
let's
comment on our thing and
let's
tell
go
us what
to
you
like
think.
the points that we're like most intrigued by. Like, okay, so Control Slide, what would you say was the most intriguing part about the last 3 episodes that you've seen so far? Like, bar none, what is something that kind of stood out for you?
Every episode, they're very, very, very good about making sure that they respect each decade that they cover. And I respect that. And I love how they finally a lot of people don't like the slow burn. I liked the slow burn. It made things worth it.
What do you mean by the slow burn?
So a lot of people have been complaining about how the first few episodes is just basically them in their sitcom world.
Oh, yeah.
Slice of
okay,
life.
slow burn. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They expect comic book movies, or this is a TV show, but they expect them all to be the same. You know, they expect nonstop action. This was meant to be something else. They're trying to do something that isn't nonstop action, which now it's starting to get there, but not exactly. It's still like very much X-Files now.
I feel like it works perfectly for the show, though. Like the way that it's playing out. But that being said, like Novell, what did you like? What was the biggest thing that kind of stood out for you?
So the strength of WandaVision is hands down, bar none, the surrealist horror. Right? That's me. I am here for those moments of
Stop it!
those moments of the reality breaking. We had 2 excellent examples of this. Of course, the flamingo with which was played as a joke, but the flamingo in the birthing episode, as well as
You mean the crane?
Yeah, it was a crane.
The crane.
It was a crane?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
It looked like a flamingo to me.
It was spork. It was a sport.
Stork, yeah, baby delivering stork. That's what it was.
Spork.
Well, we just absolutely messed up our bird physiology.
We do not bird watch here. We do not do that.
It was a stork trying to represent stork bringing the baby.
Getting to that point though, continue. I want to come back to that though.
Yeah, it was from the art. It was from the art that she had made on the kid's wall of the stork delivering the baby.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was a stork. But it was the stork in episode 3, and then in episode 4, it was of course Vision freeing his coworker for a few moments.
Well, going back to the pregnancy episode, he was starting to become more aware when the two neighbors were trying to kind of like warn him.
Brick fence.
Well, when reality started to shift out, and it obviously became a show.
Yeah.
It was filled with props and a fake drop background that we were aware of the fact, and they were aware of it, and were trying to inform him, pay attention, because you're going to get in trouble. Like, they were actually doing him a favor. They were trying to warn him. Mostly because I think that perhaps they think he's like them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? They haven't seen him in, like, robot form, so they think that he's another actor.
I think they know who he is. I think they know his Vision.
Because like Agnes, isn't that her name?
Yeah, Agnes.
She was in the car and she was asking like, are you
that's
dead?
that's a future episode we hadn't seen yet.
Yeah, that has not actually occurred in the story. That's from the trailer.
You talking about where she said,
trailer?
"Are you gonna save us?"
I may have watched the last one then, like the trailer, because there is a trailer on Disney Plus, is there not?
Yeah.
Anyway,
the content of the woman who's at the car with both hands on the steering wheel and is speaking to him, that has not appeared in an episode yet.
Okay, so that's probably just a trailer. Okay, back to the main point here. So you were talking about the crane, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did anybody find it weird that she was trying to use her ability to be able to make it disappear?
Right.
But it did not disappear, correct?
And
so
the original theory,
it would just kind of.
Yeah, the immediate theory was that every time she tried to like apparate it from existence, it failed because she was focusing on the pregnancy. Like her powers were out of whack because she was pregnant.
I actually don't think that's the case.
We know that's not the case now.
Because she couldn't do anything with her. She couldn't do anything with her kids either.
The kids.
Yeah.
The kids are the proof that it's not the pregnancy that was her losing her powers.
Yeah.
It was the world itself denying her the opportunity to do something to it.
Yeah. So I think the crane. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mephisto, I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah,
Mephisto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that not one of his call signs?
The stork, by the way. We're gonna keep calling it a crane because every time we see something on one leg, we're just calling it different things because of that. But I started with the flamingo. But no, I don't think that's a totemic animal for Mephisto. Mephisto doesn't really have one. He is basically Marvel's version of the devil. So he has the classic, devil appearance where it's, red skin, horns, cape, barbed tail. I mean, I don't know about the goat legs, but I don't think but anything about the particular animal that represents him, I couldn't name one off the top of my head. And I've been reading Ghost Rider, where he's most commonly prevalent because Ghost Riders make deals with Mephisto become the spirits of vengeance.
Exactly.
I don't remember there being an animal that represents him.
For some reason, I just feel like that bird has something to way more significant than it is that we think it is, because the bird made it its mission to literally come in, just be a fool basically. But then as soon as the stork went into the baby room, it acted like it was part of the wall.
I feel like
it played into the reality.
Yeah,
I feel like the one that sticks out the most is clearly Agnes.
Oh,
her best friend.
Yeah, because she is the most self-aware out of any of the other neighbors. Like you saw it in when she was trying to warn Vision, and then this previous episode where she was like, "Do I need to go back and do this?"
Yeah.
She and Herb from the gardening scene.
Yeah.
Both seem to be not fully cognizant. They haven't broken free like the guy who was freed by Vision. They seem to have hit some type of middle stage where they think they're actors.
Yeah.
Where they think that they're in this role because they have to be, and they have to play the role well. They are not free of it because otherwise they would directly tell Vision, "Help me, it hurts," just like the guy he freed did.
Yeah.
They're in this weird middle ground where they haven't accepted that this is their actual reality. They're playing a role, and they're actively aware that they're playing a role. They don't know why, and they don't know to what end, but they want to be good at it. Because that's the first thing that she did. She said, Should we take that from the top?
Well, I think no. I don't think she was so much worried about doing it well. I think she was scared.
I feel like she was really scared. Like she was like, "Do you want me to do that again?" Like, almost like she didn't want to upset her.
Yeah, right. Like she understood that Wanda can rewind things for Vision.
Yeah.
And so she was checking with her to see if that's what she needs to do. But she can only rewind things for Vision when Vision's not aware of what's going on.
Right, but at the same time, like, they weren't upset or concerned about sawing through the prop that was the wall. So I'm thinking it's more about them doing whatever job they have well and less being just absolutely afraid of Wanda.
Yeah. So getting to the next point that I had was the Vision and the kids. Obviously, this is spoilers for people who don't know. There's, the scene where they actually show us how Vision came to be into the actual world. She took Vision's dead corpse back. Now, has she somehow brought him back to life, or is she literally manipulating his body and his organs and everything to move?
Well,
and talk.
We did see for a split second where it was his dead body.
Yes.
Yeah.
She saw his dead body.
She lost the ability to put whatever illusion was giving him this blush of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so he went back to being the last form he was in, which was after Thanos took the stone from his skull.
Exactly.
But does that mean he's actually alive?
My following point would be with the kids. Like, the kids obviously keep changing. You can't control that they are aging. But what was that? Rambo, that Captain Rambo,
Monica
Rambo.
Yes.
Yeah.
The little girl who basically was in Captain Marvel now.
Right. Both her mom and her apparently share the name in some way, or because we originally thought her mom was Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
And it made sense because Monica Rambeau is actually an older comic book character.
She was Captain Marvel before.
And Carol Danvers took the title from Marvel.
Yeah.
She's the second Captain Marvel after Marvel himself. She's
But,
also known as Spectrum in the comics currently, but she's also been called Photon, Pulsar. As you can see, her powers deal with light.
But getting back to the kids, like Captain Rambeau helped literally
Give birth. Yeah, she fully recognizes that those kids are legitimately
my question
hers.
kind of going back to Vision, is she manifesting these kids, or is somebody manifesting the kids for her? Or is she literally on the verge of losing her shit?
Well, we know for a fact that the power being put in place in Westview is beyond her capacity.
Yes.
So it's either that she has activated some part of herself that she was never aware of, kind of like unlocking that part of your brain, hysterical strength type of thing. But we know that when she attacks the sword building, the sword building is not the location of Westview.
Yeah.
So at some point in time, she went there, took back Vision's body because they were totally in violation of Vision's will.
Yes.
Yeah,
Vision
that's
was literally
because
broken.
that was the thing that bothered me, because they were like, "Oh, she's violating it," they weren't. His body was
in 6 pieces.
Clearly,
Yeah,
they were
real.
doing experiments.
Right. I'm like, you cannot tell me that he was not being studied in that facility. Otherwise, there was no reason to disassemble him.
Yeah.
He could have been buried whole.
That's why she was pissed off as hell when she saw Dr. Hayward.
Well, she raided the facility, and no offense to Sword for being retarded, but their pictures were on the wall, just like Monica's mom's picture was on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, they made it very obvious that was
the
Sword.
same guy. Yeah.
I just wondered how she actually found the building itself.
The Sword facility?
Yeah.
It's just like the Shield headquarters. Shield headquarters was public knowledge.
Oh, okay.
And
remember Shield's headquarters in Winter Soldier? You could literally walk.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, you could literally walk into
I just found it
Shield's
really
headquarters.
weird that she was just able to just find it just after the snap.
Well,
Yeah.
there was another thing. It's also she was an Avenger, so she would have access to this.
You know what?
With
that's true.
The problem was that the Avengers weren't aware of Sword immediately. Is a big issue. But after the snap, they would have been.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, because Captain Marvel during the snap period
Is summoned in by Nick Fury's Sword protocol.
Right.
Yeah.
But regardless on that end, so we know for a fact that she came in, was incredibly angry, and managed to recover Vision's body.
Correct.
But at some point in time, she leaves that facility.
Yes.
And she carries Vision's body up to Westview.
Yeah.
And then the phenomenon happens.
Into a form of a hexagon.
Right.
Hex.
Hex.
It's a hex.
Well,
She's Scarlet
obviously,
Witch.
so my answer to this is obviously all of the Infinity Stones are based on gemstones.
Yeah.
And so gems have definitive shapes. Every gem has X number of sides, basically.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so this one was took the shape of a hex. I'm not sure if that correlates to the gem where she gets her abilities from, but nevertheless, that's kind of the answer for the shape. Obviously, is that it comes from a gemstone. It comes from the gem that she gets her powers. She doesn't have the gem because we know what happened with the gems, to the best of our knowledge, of course.
Right. They could have came back somehow.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, Steve Rogers went and took all the gems back, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the gems could have been used for something else in the present future.
Right. And also, the gems of the current timeline were
Destroyed.
So, functionally, something kind of strange had to have happened here. But regardless, my point being is that we know that the power seems to be much more than she has in her own abilities.
Yeah.
It has to be drawn from a bigger power. The logical answer would be a stone, one of the Infinity Stones.
What, that it was brought back somehow? But how would she have
Either
brought it
that
back?
or
Or-
she's channeling it.
Or she could be like, okay, Doctor Strange. You just brought up a good point. Doctor Strange. What was her name?
The Ancient?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
the
was
Ancient.
channeling the dark energy from what was that world?
From
You mean where Dormammu was?
Dormammu, yeah.
Yeah,
She was
Dormammu's
channeling
home realm.
that. Maybe Scarlet Witch is doing the same
what,
thing, but not
Mephisto?
exactly.
Mephisto powers?
Yeah, maybe she's.
I
driven
mean,
Mephisto.
she could literally be like taking hell energy from hell.
And she doesn't know that that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I still think it would still be in her present wheelhouse, and Mephisto's kind of outside of her normal, interaction base. So I think it leans closer towards the stones than it does towards another extra dimensional being like
Well,
Mephisto.
the reason why they keep pushing, a lot of people keep focusing on Mephisto is because they kind of push that Mephisto is supposed to be in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
And WandaVision is the start of all of this. We get WandaVision, we get Spider-Man 3, then we get Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Which should be the closing of that.
Right.
And then pulling
arc.
to that part with the multiverse, when she opens that door. On the
Oh
last
my
second.
God! All right, this is
Yeah, we have-
the
is this
mega
what you wanna go with?
mega spoiler.
Mega spoilers. Yeah.
This was okay. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, dude.
This was the epicness that I was hoping for. This is just the beginning. If anyone thinks that this is the first that's going to be happening on this show, there's going to be more cameos, and I cannot wait. This was just a little taste. There's going to be more, okay? So she keeps talking about her brother, with her kids. And so we finally see, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, someone rings the doorbell at the end of the episode. Who could that be? She is having an argument with Vision. Her powers are probably out of control at this point because of how angry her and Vision are. And so she had just recently had this conversation with her kids, how she cannot bring people back to life, okay? So she hears the doorbell ring again. She answers the door. She says, "This was not me. I did not bring this person to the store." The door opens. Who is it? You see the back of the head. You're like, oh, it's Quicksilver. Well, it's not just
Stripe.
any Quicksilver. It is Evan Peters' Quicksilver. We have the Fox Quicksilver. This opens the doors that we were all expecting. The WandaVision series is changing the MCU. We will get the mutants that we want. We will see Spider-Man from Tobey Maguire, from Andrew Garfield. We will see all of Marvel become one. And we will get to see these characters that we love from these other universes all come together. And I'm very excited. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got you. my friend.
He couldn't hold it in.
Yeah,
I've been
right.
very
Once
excited.
we got here, he had to go full tilt.
Hey, look, he has all the right to though, because that was a very good point and a really good gesture for them to pull in Quicksilver.
So,
But I think Novell and me are a little bit, just a smidget disappointed that we didn't get Magneto.
yeah,
But this is just
we
the
didn't know.
taste.
We
We might still get him. That's my thing.
Here's the thing. Which version of Magneto do you
Fassbender.
Fassbender's the only.
yeah.
It has to be
boy.
Fassbender. Don't get me wrong. I love old man Magneto. Don't get me wrong.
he's awesome.
His entire time with the X-Men series running from the 2000s up was amazing. But the one they have to pull is Michael Fassbender.
What if they pull them both?
I mean, we could. We could have
Pull
old
both.
man
He comes
Magneto.
in. He comes in with this nice suit and his hat and his cane.
Could be Grandpa
Grandpa,
Max.
Grandpa Maximoff.
Grandpa Max appears. But either way, I would be fine with that. But my point being is that I think the most important thing about Pietro arriving isn't actually Pietro arriving.
No, it's not him. It's not. He was not what I was excited about. He's cool, but it's what it means.
Yes.
No. Not even that. Not even about the whole multiverse thing. I think that the most important part about that show, and it was artfully done by the producers and the directors, was that it's a massive distraction. Like, don't get me wrong. Everyone forgot what happened in the last 5 minutes because of him coming through that doorway.
Including Vision.
But the most important thing about it is the metatextual conversation she was having with her kids and the argument she was having with Vision. Because you got to understand that 3 big things occurred during that episode. Her kids have knowledge they can't possibly possess.
Right.
Like her kids knows what she can do, even though they've never been alive to see her do it.
Yeah, they've only been alive for like a day.
Yeah, right. So they're making a conscious argument with their mother, trying to persuade her to use her abilities that they cannot possibly know that she has.
Right. So they get a dog, and the dog that day essentially dies, which I think was all a big plan on her part.
He dies off screen.
He dies off screen.
He eats leaves and dies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she purposely let him die first of all.
That's why I don't know what's going on with her. Like, I feel like there's something like that we're not aware of.
Well, I don't think she consciously led to the dog's death.
Okay.
I think her subconscious concerns about Vision being dead and her mind being focused on Pietro because of the twins led to the dog dying.
Right.
And trying to deal with her own grief for Vision and her brother through the mirror that is her children, which is also, once again, something that her kids can't possibly comprehend.
Because they just got there.
They literally were just created. They were literally just given birth to. There is no possible way for these children to be experiencing both grief as well as the need to bargain for the return of their loved one, which is the dog.
I love the names. The callback to Tommy and Billy.
Yeah. So it's really important, though, that you have to understand that what those children are feeling isn't coming from them. It's coming from Wanda. These are Wanda's emotions and Wanda's mindset. So I think the important thing to draw from that, number one, that's one of the 3 things, was that, and it was completely distracted by the arrival of Pietro, these children are operating with knowledge, feelings, and emotions that are either directly sourced from Wanda herself or are being given to them by the power that set up this world.
Right.
So that's the first one. The second one is that Vision now has, at least in his either fear or anger or whatever emotional turmoil Vision was going through, the ability to override Wanda's ability to override him.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that's a really crazy situation, but she tries to end the episode early. She's like,
that was such a cool moment.
yeah,
too.
she's
Where he
like, I
just
can't deal with it. Let's call it here. And Vision's like, no, we have to deal with this now. The credits are rolling in front of Vision's face.
It literally felt like a scene that would happen in like a show where like the actor is having a total meltdown.
Right. And it's continuing as the show. Like 2.5 Men might have had this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where Charlie Sheen would be at the end of the episode with the credits running, still having a meltdown on screen. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, he just denied her ability to control him in that moment. Not only that, but throughout the episode earlier, he's consciously aware of the fact that she is denying the premise of the world they had set up. She's like, you just used your power in front of her. And we agreed together as a couple to hide our abilities.
He's talking about Agnes in front of Agnes, the neighbor.
Right.
That,
kitchen and whatnot,
and then she says, oh, we don't have to do that anymore. That's literally ripping apart the fabric, the terms that they had agreed upon for this world, both subconsciously and consciously.
They made it pretty clear in the first 2 episodes.
Right. And so now because of this, that the premise of the world was broken, I don't know if that's the core reason, Vision not only denies her ability to shut him down in the episode and control what's going on in this universe via the TV, but he continues the scene into the next room where he actively uses his powers. which is something that he hasn't really done without Wanda prompting him earlier.
So
Yeah. I
it
thought
makes
we were
me
about to
believe
witness
that
a brawl.
it makes me believe he's actually back to life.
Or functionally something else is the motivation or the reason for his revival
Right.
than Wanda herself.
I think something will actually cause him to actually come back. You know what I mean? Like,
right, make a full-fledged return or
Right.
something like. But argument is normally
Or
he
maybe
still needs the gym.
Or maybe he'll be a vision from another universe.
Right.
Because now
I like that.
anything is possible now. Anything is possible in the MCU at this point.
Right. I'm hoping that there are no breaks in continuity. The vision that we saw is the vision that was
Right.
recovered from the lab and was missing, has the gem missing from his head, and looks colorless because of that.
Okay, Darcy handled this the best way possible to explain to the audience. When we see Quicksilver and we realize it's the other actor, she responds to it perfectly. She's been watching them through a TV, like it's a TV show, and she said, he was recasted. Pietro was recasted. So in her mind, it's like the TV show still, and she doesn't realize, but to the audience, it connects better that way. They think that he was literally like just some random person that was recasted. She doesn't know that he's literally another Quicksilver from another universe.
That's meta knowledge that only viewers have. In
Right.
universe, she thinks that someone in Westview, because of Wanda's demands for the show, has been cast as her brother.
Right. So Sword does not know the full scope of what's going on while they're trying to contain this.
And one of the important things that are going to happen in the next episode is going to be they're going to try to run the books and find the person that she's cast as Pietro, and no one will exist by his facial recognition because he doesn't exist in that universe.
With that scanning thing, were they all Sword agents, or was that just the documentation that they were writing on?
The three agencies that are working together on the mystery of Westview are the FBI, the Air Force, and Sword.
Yep.
Well, I'm talking about, okay, so when they were pinning all the people's identities on that wall.
These are just random people from that.
With
from
the
that
exception
town.
of some of them
random
that
people
were
from the
Sword
town.
agents.
Okay,
There was
I
a
was
couple of
confused.
random Sword agents.
Okay, wait.
And there are Sword agents on the board. They worked for Sword.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I believe the reason for that is because they were chasing her to Westview after she escaped with Vision's body.
That would make sense.
That's the reason why I think the Sword agents are in the town, is because they were on her tail when the Westfield incident occurred and they got caught in the field.
Let's talk about the two cops that said that Westfield doesn't exist.
Right.
Eastville.
Yeah, Eastville is where they're from.
Yeah.
They're local cops from the town of Eastville. Westfield doesn't exist at all.
Well, that also just shows that her powers extend past that little, dome that she has right now.
Well,
there's
cops
two parts
based
to that,
off-
though.
Were they
Yeah.
based off in that town, or were they just there to tell them?
They were the
They're
first
from the
responders.
town. Yeah, they were from the town. Well, they
They
were-
because they never went into the field.
they never went inside of, but they're from that town before the thing happened, before the dome.
Well,
fell.
also they say that they're from nearby, but they
Right.
don't say that they're directly nearby.
Right.
They say so there's three things here that are confusing. One, when Wu is first coming in, Monica Rambeau or Wu, whatever, someone's driving towards Westview.
Right.
There is a actual sign, a road sign,
That says
Westview.
Yeah.
That is far outside the reach of that town.
Right.
Like, that's way outside the zone of the field. That's driving like the mile marker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Turn off here on 2A to get to Westview. That's an incredible stretch for a town that should not exist.
Yeah.
The cops say there is no town called Westview. There is only Eastview. So either there are two options here. Westview spontaneously arrived in this location by power of being reality shifted. It's not actually that she took a population of people and converted them into Westview. I don't think that Eastview became Westview. I think that entire zone is from another dimension.
But those
Yeah.
people
Just
exist.
like Quicksilver.
But those people existed.
But
from that-
Quicksilver does too.
But no, I'm saying they were able to find their identities.
Right, but regardless though, Quicksilver does too. And outside the meta knowledge that Quicksilver has been recast,
Yeah.
right? They're gonna start looking for people as if they were people from their
What do you
universe.
think they'll find a match for him?
I think that they might. He might be some random guy.
And
our
I guess that would
universe.
make sense. But are they going to find this other version of him, or does that version
I
disappear?
mean, it might just be a random person in our world.
Do you think he might not actually be that?
Because remember that
Quicksilver from
Quicksilver
Fox?
is dependent upon the X gene, but the X gene doesn't exist in the MCU.
As far as we know right now.
Right, but that's my point though.
But
So my thought process
well, if
is,
he has the powers though.
well, he does.
Brings him over.
But you got to remember two things.
It's not gonna undo his X gene when he comes over to their universe.
It won't. But our Quicksilver doesn't have the X gene.
I
Our
know.
Quicksilver is powered by a stone.
Right. But that's not. What I'm saying is if this guy shows that he has powers, he's not gonna be someone from the MCU universe. He has to be the dude from the Fox universe.
Right,
is
but
what
that's
I'm
my entire
trying to
premise,
say.
is that Westview isn't just
Right.
from the MCU universe. It was pulled from one of these other multiverses. The entire town was pulled over. Remember that they said only Eastview exists.
Right.
But in an alternate reality, there could be a Westview.
With no Eastview.
Or
Right.
those guys could have been manipulated by Wanda.
Right, so either there's
also
two
true.
options here. The power is reached far beyond the actual dome, but I like to think that the dome is the limit of the power. That's the reason why that field is there. That's the reason why the effect is so strong.
Captain Randall went to go touch it, but she wasn't, like, the sign was still farther back.
Right, it was in the town.
So she barely touched the field
And
she
got hit with
sucked
the
in.
effect, and it eventually happened. Same thing with the drone. The moment the drone was inside the town, but was time and accurate, it was changed.
So basically, the bubble would be the point of which where all these other multiverses can converge with.
It's the initial
MCU.
breach.
Yeah, the initial breach. She
Right.
caused a breach,
And she
Going back.
pulled Westview.
and she's containing the breach.
Right, as long as she's stable and is actively using it. She can
What
also
made her
throw people out of it.
So we don't know the answer of what would have caused her to make this breach happen. Well,
Well-
it might not be manifesto. It might have been literally her powers all along, and someone made her snap and make it happen.
Or it could be coming from another universe. The actual inciting incident could be as simple as she's running away with Vision's body, makes it to the town of Eastview, gets caught by the agents, and gets into a scuffle with them. Her power activates, and it acts like a warning signal, a beacon she puts out. And she draws something from another universe that causes this change and helps her.
So she could still be, like, basically trying to protect the rest of the world.
Right, by containing it in this
Right.
zone.
While also having her cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Right. It's the best of both worlds for her. That's the
Right.
reason why she's so adamant about not fucking with it.
Right.
Like, get out, just leave. Do not mess with this
Yeah, you
world.
don't know what you're messing with.
Right, because either it's going to ruin my dream, one, or two, it's going to cause catastrophic damage to the world around. us.
Would you say madness?
Did she get a hold of the wishing stone?
Yeah, well, it's a monkey's paw. And we see that. We see
A better
that overall,
monkey's paw.
We see that overall the effect is negative.
Right.
The effect is that the people that have been taken feel unwell, know that they are being controlled, and are suffering because of it.
Well, there's also a point of which where when she's arguing with Vision, she's like, and it makes you wonder, is she really doing this? It's
Well-
where she says, do you honestly think that I'm controlling all these people in this town where I schedule when they go to the dentist, when they go to work, when they go to the bathroom? You know,
Yeah.
do you think I'm honestly capable of that?
Right, she can't answer some of the problems that are occurring in the town.
Right.
It's still beyond her, which is the reason why we think that she's not in total control. But there's also a very important part also where Vision says, you can't just make this end. You can't make this stop. You can't make me not ask these questions. And she gets angry and she says, can't I?
Right.
Where she's implying that she still can at least control Vision.
Right. Which
Right,
is the
she
most
feels
important
confident
thing
enough
for
to
her to
threaten
control.
him with
Yeah.
that. So I think that based on my own theorizing here, that the alternative universe Eastview, which is Westview, has been brought to our world. And the people in that world are just corresponding with ours. Because there's a thing that's really important that I think that next episode Sword Agents should check. It's when the Indian man that Vision frees gets free, the first thing he wants to do is call his sick sister.
Right.
His sister isn't in that bubble.
Right.
Otherwise, as a character, he would have just left and ran to her. right? Trying to find her
Well,
in
I mean,
that universe.
your sister don't have to be from the same town as you.
Well, no, that's my point. Is that his sister doesn't exist in the town.
Right.
So she's not caught in the effect and not caught in the field. But the sword agent that's watching that TV can then look for him and then try to find his sister. If they look for his sister based off his emergency, his reaction, and they don't find his sister, she doesn't exist, that means my theory is correct. He's from another multiverse.
Right. Where it's kind of like where in that Quicksilver's universe, he didn't have a sister.
Right. He also only has the X gene.
Right.
Right. And if we go and find that he exists in our world, but his sister does not, it confirms my theory.
Right.
And it only just requires a sword agent to have seen that moment of Vision breaking the show and investigating that man's sister.
Well, I don't think that Quicksilver was essentially from the initial breach.
Right. No, he's obviously pulled in from another universe.
Right.
I think Westview's from one universe, and Pietro from the Fox universe is from a different one.
Better Pietro.
Right. So, the funny one.
What, you didn't see that coming?
Right. So I think that currently we have an instance of 3, if not 4 universes in one location. So the first one is the physical land where Westview is.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what was there originally, but whatever was there can be changed.
Right.
We know that because we
Could've been
see it
just,
swapped with decades.
literally a highway. Bro.
Right. It could have just been a road going through there.
Right.
So one, we are aware of that their physical land, the world that they exist in the MCU universe, is the first layer. The second layer is potentially the town of Westview pulled from another universe. That's debatable. So the second layer may not exist. The third layer we're introduced to is actually the kids. Because the kids are pulling knowledge either from another universe where they're aware of these events, which could be our universe. Because honestly, those kids are about as well informed as we, the viewers, are.
Right.
Like a fourth wall break. But not saying that's the case. It could be they're directly pulling it from Wanda's mind.
Right.
So the third
They
universe,
could have their mom's powers.
right, is also debatable. But we know for a fact that the fourth, or second in this case, if none of the two are actually correct, universe does exist, and it's the Fox universe.
Right.
So we already have a multiverse just in WandaVision.
A contained one right now.
Right.
Contained.
Either it's 4 layers deep, if my theories are correct, or it's 2 layers.
Well, we know because of the next 2 movies, hell's gonna break loose.
Eventually, the barrier that's set up and is containing whatever's going on in Westview is going to go free, and it's going to affect the entire MCU.
Right. Like I said, the MCU is going to be changed forever because of WandaVision. Everybody that keeps underselling WandaVision does not understand its importance. It's going to change. I'm sure this is going to be their way of bringing in the mutants.
We already have it.
Right.
You're right. You're like, you can't deny it. There is now a mutant in the MCU. If there is one, there will be more.
Right. So we just got someone just saw none other than William Dafoe on the set for Spider-Man 3. We are going to get all of these people into this movie. Now, they might be another version from another universe, so we might get a cool little different take.
Am I
of
going to
each
get
person.
Bully McGuire?
Yeah, everybody is pretty convinced Tobey Maguire's coming back for Spider-Man 3, which I'm excited for.
Oh, no, I said Bully McGuire.
Oh, Bully McGuire. Yeah, well, that's Spider-Man 3 Tobey Maguire, so yeah.
And I know this is kind of reaching a little bit further back, but like I said, the third thing that the Pietro reveal distracts from is, and I have to get this back just because it's so important to me, because this is where all of my investment is. It's not in the excitement of the future, it's in understanding what we have so far and theorizing about what's to come, not for the MCU, but just for WandaVision. Those kids can control themselves.
Yeah.
It's not Wanda that's doing it. It is the kids of their own.
Do you think maybe
volition.
they had some sort of control into him coming into the universe?
Right. I think that if she didn't pull him in, they did.
Could have.
Didn't Tommy though? Didn't he have?
Reality warping abilities as well?
No, I thought that was Billy.
One of
Billy
them-
had reality warping abilities and telekinesis, and I think Tommy had like basically Quicksilver's.
Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were copies of
I think.
the original pair. I would assume so. Which one goes on to become Wiccan? Billy?
Billy.
I think Billy goes on to become Wiccan, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I would be correct on that. Let
I'm
me
sure.
actually go
I'm
and do a
sure
quick
that
check.
Mr. Eternal Slade is looking.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. So Billy is the one that.
Yeah, Billy is the one that picks it up and becomes Wiccan.
Mm-hmm. What about Tommy? Is he still the?
Tommy is probably. Let me go find the correct Earth because
Wiccan
obviously-
and Speed.
Go and click on Billy. Billy's brother.
Yeah, Speed would be the other one. And he has flight and teleportation.
Yep.
Yep.
Teleportation.
Wanda's kids.
So it would be Wiccan that would have been capable of doing that.
Right. Wiccan is like I said, he's the one that basically gets to
Now,
play the magic.
now this is based off the comics. For all we know, they could have gave both of them,
It was
Wanda's
just like a
power
nice
set.
little hats off to the name type of
Right,
deal.
right. The other thing that we haven't discussed about is the fact that the only people that can actually be depended upon in this with the Agents of S.W.O.R.D. is clearly, first of all, Monica Rambeau, but she just came back, and Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis. Everybody else is worthless in the situation. I mean, Darcy's the one that figured out how to see what's going on in that world. And then Jimmy Woo, for whatever reason, they decided to not make him a comedy bit character like they did Ant-Man and the Wasp, which Jimmy Woo's actually a really cool character in the comic books. He's actually the guy that's in charge of Agents of Atlas, which is with Shang-Chi and some other Asian characters. So it'd be really cool if they see him expand more. There's actually some people that are trying to get Jimmy Woo to get an X-Files type series. Kind of like where he's the FBI agent that goes to these strange situations every time type of thing before he gets the Agent of Atlas TV show, because I'm sure there's going to be an Agents of Atlas TV show if they're going to have Shang-Chi. Anyways,
Yeah.
so I really appreciate the chemistry between Randall Park, who plays Jimmy Woo, and Kat Dennings, who plays Darcy Lewis. They really play off one another really well.
Yeah, especially with the foil, which is that A-hat sword director.
Oh, yeah. What's his name? Director Hayward.
Yeah.
I think there's more than meets the eye with that guy. Obvious, because when Wanda came out of the town, she was not mad at anyone else but him. She looked dead in the eye with him, and she had all those guns pointed at him. Clearly, she knows there's something up with that guy.
Well, let's talk about the fact that the drone that went in with a missile.
Right.
Yeah, armed. Was
Which,
made and
that was a
designed.
pretty typical military general dumb move.
Well, that's why I thought he was with the FBI.
Right.
And was lacking critical information about what he was dealing with, and so responded.
But it's the opposite. He knows more about her than everyone else.
Right. If he was the FBI director or the Air Force director, it would have made sense that he snuck a missile onto that.
But it's
drone.
Jimmy Woo, the FBI guy, that has more sense about the situation.
And then they get into this unique argument that I was sitting there and I was like, you can't be this dumb. Where they go through the history of Wanda and they go through Sokovia with the whole Crossbones incident.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, terrorists. I'm like,
You do realize what happened in that whole scenario, right, bro?
Right.
like
He knows the full situation.
between the was it Winter Soldier where that first started getting rolling, where we get the God, what am I saying? We get the documentation and the draft for the Sokovia Accords leading up to all the things that pass on. It's the first time the government.
It's Civil War.
Well, Civil War is when it's enacted.
Right.
Right, but we get the groundwork for it, I think, in Winter Soldier. Is that correct? Or is Winter Soldier after Civil War?
Winter Soldier's before Civil War.
Yeah.
I think that it was starting to head towards that direction, but Wanda was the whole reason why it happened.
Right, because they're introduced in Age of Ultron.
Right.
Right. And so, regardless, he labels her a terrorist, and it's Monica and Wu who are like, who was an Avenger.
Yeah.
Was
Who saved the universe.
Right. Who acted that way.
Almost killed Thanos.
Right. No,
That was a really funny comment, by the way. How
Like-
she nerded out over Wanda for a second there, almost a little obsessively. Like there's still some lingering effects from Wanda controlling her,
Right.
because it was a little obsessive.
Well, also she was really, really direct for some strange reason as well. Like she engages with Wanda as if they were friends.
Right.
And I'm like, you just met her literally yesterday, and the last event was you being
But I
thrown.
just touched your placenta,
Right.
girl.
Right. I'm saying, the last event you've had with Wanda was you being thrown through like 4 houses and then into a field using her powers. I don't think you're that close to her.
Nope. But hey, at least she didn't point a gun at you.
Nah, she putting all the guns in the direction. I love the callback though, like kind of the whole Ant-Man card trick thing.
With Woo, yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, if you haven't watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, there's like this whole thing where like, so
I've been doing
Scott's
close-up,
got a whole bunch.
card tricks.
Yeah, he's got way too much free time, and so he learns a bunch of stupid stuff, and so he teaches Woo how to do his card tricks.
Woo asked, so, how'd you do it?
Yeah.
I have
He
to
goes,
know.
How'd I do what? The card trick. How'd you do the card trick?
Yeah, like you would think he's
Seriously?
talking about escaping the house
yeah.
and getting back in time. No, he was only worried about the card trick.
Yeah, Woo's a good guy,
Yeah.
just all around. He's
Did you want to get dinner for real? Did you?
This is kind of awkward.
Yeah. So another thing that was really interesting about that was during the episode they go about looking into the clothing that was made for.
Yeah, morphed.
Got
and-
morphed from Kevlar.
Right. But not only that, but it retained all of its properties.
Yeah.
It was pretty much mostly ballistic fiber, and so was in essence bulletproof.
Well, that's why she was trying to point out about like the kids being real. Everything in that town is real.
Right. It's either pulled from another universe to our universe,
Or things that she can
change,
manipulate.
reality warped into another form.
Right.
Right. And so we know for a fact now that nothing is an illusion because of the confirmation with the uniform.
Right.
Correct.
Right. Because some things originally could have just been the work of Wanda. Because once again, we see that the wall that Herb ends up cutting through with the leaf cutter or the bush trimmer, hedge trimmer, that's what it is. He cuts through a prop, and the backdrop goes from being real world to being fake.
Flat.
Yeah, it becomes a flat scenery background. So we're like, there is no reason for that, right? If this was actually taken from a physical world,
Right. But
it
she's purposely trying to make it look like an old sitcom.
right? And so we don't know if that's the overlay that Wanda desires, or if it's a cause and effect situation from the multiverse interacting in that area.
So, is there any moment in the MCU where she talks about her liking sitcoms? Like, she was from Sokovia. Did she get to see all of her old sitcoms or something?
Well, remember that she was hiding out with Vision in a singular location, and they basically had nothing to do but
when she was
be
on the
house
Avengers,
arrest.
when she was at the Avengers.
So
base.
she may have binged a
That's-
lot of TV.
I mean, that's true. I mean, they do talk about in Winter Soldier where Cap is like got a list of movies he needs to watch and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
right now we're reaching on that end.
I know.
but
I'm just
we're reaching
curious.
all around
It's
here.
just interesting. Like, she is not from America. To have this much knowledge of our sitcoms, to make a theme song, have old commercials of ours, have the sets look exactly like the old sets from our TV shows.
Right,
It's
but-
interesting.
But so here's another really interesting little chord to tick off here. Do you want to know 2 people in the show that can have that information?
Who?
Pietro,
Yep.
who was bored out of his mind sitting in his mom's basement
That's true.
until he got the call.
That's true.
From Magneto. Basically, he got the call to action from the Xavier School. He had nothing to do. He literally was playing arcade games at
And watching TV shows.
Mach 10,
Yeah.
watching TV on fast forward. So I'm like, he could have the knowledge to do all of that. And then 2, we know for a fact that the kids are pulling knowledge that they don't have, and they don't seem to be just pulling it from Wanda.
Well, Vision would have all that knowledge too, and she could pull it from Vision's mind, right?
Well, but Vision's mind's gone. You got to remember that Vision's mind actually
But-
is the neural connections to the mind gem.
Right, but nothing's an illusion, so that's really him.
Right, but we know that though. Once the
She can't
overlay,
be making his thoughts.
right. But I'm saying once the overlay's down,
Yeah.
he's gone. Remember that Vision's mind is the gem. They have
Yeah,
to
but
connect.
weren't they also talking about how they were going to try to separate the neurons and keep him alive and it wouldn't
Right.
affect him?
that's the whole plot line for when they were in Wakanda.
Yeah.
They were trying to find a way of disconnecting his actual
There was
mind
like
from the mind
1.5
chip.
million neurons that she had to disconnect or something.
But he refused the operation and went onto the battlefield before it was done.
There
No, I mean,
could,
they literally didn't have time, I thought.
Right, that's my point.
Yeah.
So
In
we
his
know for a
opinion,
fact
there was
that
no
Vision
time.
in
Yeah.
continuity's mind is still connected to the gem. The gem is gone.
well, she could eventually switch him out with a reality version, with one of the versions where they do get to finish.
Right, but my problem with that is that we had that moment where we see him as a corpse. And he
Right.
still is missing the gem.
Well, I'm just saying the kids could affect this situation now that they're in the picture.
Right, what I'm thinking is like, I think that the kids and not Wanda are the thing pulling information from other worlds.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? I think that they're the locus.
But if they do that, they're making them basically like Franklin Richards level power. for
well,
those
I mean,
kids.
there are plenty of characters like Omega level mutants, for instance, which have powers of reality warping.
I know,
But
I'm just
they don't-
saying that
they're not all Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards is the end all be all as far as like power levels can be concerned for reality warping.
right.
Scarlet Witch is a reality warper.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like
She didn't
they're
have a nickname.
Huh? Oh,
She ain't got a nickname.
yeah, right. I mean,
I was like, fuck you.
yeah,
I'm just saying.
Fuck you.
yeah. They did say that where they were like, so no nickname, no code name for
No
her.
Because they never got it in that universe.
Yeah.
He never got Quicksilver. She never got Scarlet Witch. On the same end, Wiccan, which is Billy, has her powers just like Speed has Pietro's powers.
Right.
So I'm thinking that because of that, that's the fuel source is Billy's abilities
Combining their two abilities together.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
because that makes them independent of her, which they are. She can't turn them back into babies, for instance. Right? She can't control them either. I think that it's because there are two instances of reality warpers in existence here that one of them is pulling information that they can't possess.
All right. Well, speaking of reality warping, did you love how when Wanda got out of the actual dome, she reverted back
To her
accent?
She reverted back to her accent
And
and
her
her
uniform.
form.
Her uniform,
Her
yes.
clothes.
Yeah.
It
She
was
went-
all the same.
She went
Right.
straight back to that.
I actually really enjoyed that. I don't know why. I just love that she.
Well, because
got back
it
to
shows
her
she
stuff,
commits to the part
Yeah.
when she's over in the other in the dome.
Right. That she does treat it as a world that
I
she
thought that
wants
was
to be in.
terrifying. She came out like I don't know if y'all. I maybe I'm just seeing some shit, but I thought I saw like glowing eyes coming out of the dome.
Yeah, you
like
thought she was
a
about to kill some
shadowy figure.
folks.
I was like, oh,
Well,
fuck.
yeah. No, when she was preparing to leave the hex, it definitively looked kind of like a Dormammu scene.
dude.
Where like some cosmic entity
Something
was about
was
to
gonna
reach
come
out,
through.
but
I
it's
was
just
like,
her.
whoa.
Yeah, it's just her walking through. I can't think of anything else to solidify what we have until we get another episode.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, we pretty much have covered a lot of bases on just about every spread of a hex.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't think of any other small details. If you guys got anything, let me know. Leave a
Yeah.
comment.
Yep.
If you can pad out my theories or debunk them, I would love to hear it. But that's what I've been thinking about on WandaVision with these 4 episodes that we currently have.
All I gotta say is, anybody that said this was a slow burn and a waste of time, you need to finish the show. You need to continue after the first 3 episodes. This is a show worth watching. This is a show that basically Marvel proved, hey, we still have more stories to tell. We still have a point to this universe. And also, we had a reason to bring this to Disney Plus. They have a lot of exciting stuff, and like everybody said, we got theories. We haven't cared about putting theories to these movies or shows in a long time. WandaVision has given us excitement that we haven't felt from a DC movie in a while, or any of these upcoming Marvel movies. No offense to Black Widow or any of these others. Nothing has excited us like WandaVision has. And I really hope it opens the doors that I'm foreseeing that it will open. But we could go on about it for a while, like everybody has said in the group, but I think this is a good stopping point. Please, as Novell has said, please leave a comment, tell us your theories. We want to hear what you have to say. And please leave a comment and subscribe. It really helps us out. Click the little bell button. Apparently, if you don't hit the bell, you don't always see that we have a new video up. But anyways, I could go on about all this all day. Let me just finish it off by saying thank you for letting all of us get to the root of our geek culture with you.